It's YGO Strat's Yu-Gi-Oh! Single Card History, where I'm going to be talking about some of the cards that have impacted Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, and some of the others that just didn't. Today's card is the prize card that only got better with time, Gold Sarcophagus. Gold Sarc was first released as a prize card for the Shonen Jump Championship Series in 2007, which if you aren't aware was essentially a YCS before Konami took over the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. It remained an exclusive and expensive prize card for 2 years, before getting a national reprint in Gold Series in 2009. Other notable reprints include Super Rare in the Duelist Revolution Special Edition in 2010, Common in Legendary Collection 3 Yugi's World, Ultra Rare in Yugi's Legendary Decks in 2015, and Secret Rare in Hidden Summoners in 2018. For time on the ban list, it's one that bounces around as Konami releases it from limiting status, as they give us other cards that can abuse it before it is promptly abused and then placed back on the list again. By the time everyone got a chance to play it in 09, it had already been limited for 4 formats, being limited almost immediately after its release as a prize card on the September 2007 ban list. But in order to help promote the new set with Gold Sarc in it, it was put to 2 on the March 2009 ban list a month before Gold Series was released. It would go on to ping pong from here, going up to 3 in March of 2011, before being limited again on the infamous September 2013 ban lists. It came back to 3 on the August 2016 ban list, and then was limited again on the January 2019 ban list, where it has stayed as of this video. A normal spell card, its effect reads: banish 1 card from your deck face up. During your second standby phase after this card's activation, add that card to the hand. Immediately, it's a powerful effect, able to fetch any card from your deck, be it monster, spell, or trap, on the condition that you're willing to wait 2 turns to get it. During its debut, it came out and immediately outclassed Different Dimension Capsule, a card nobody was playing, mostly because if you MST the capsule, then the card is gone forever, but also because the banishing for Different Dimension Capsule banished the card face down, which tremendously hinders its playability. I'll get into the more modern day cards that have exploited it, but even before Thunder Dragons abused it and before Dragon Rulers broke the game, players were abusing the shit out of the banished zone in general, or as it was once known, the removed from play zone. Dimension Fusion, Return from the Different Dimension, and to a lesser extent Different Dimension Reincarnation are all cards that retrieve monsters from the banished zone, and those coupled with powerhouse chaos monsters like BLS or Chaos Emperor Dragon, or even just great cards like Chaos Sorcerer, meant there were plenty of ways for decks to abuse the banished pile, and Gold Sarc could be another way to help pile on some damage. But Sarc wasn't just good for abuse with banished decks, as the card also allowed for mind games with the opponent. Banishing a Heavy Storm could force the opponent to withhold setting too many spell or traps, or prompt them to use ones that they have currently set earlier than they might like to because they're gonna lose them soon enough to your Heavy Storm. Or a card like Dark Hole could give you the same results to slow down a monster rush from the opponent. On release, it saw tops in decks like Diamond Dude Turbo, Lightsworn decks, and most notably, Dark Armed Return. The ability to get Dark Magician of Chaos, Judgment Dragon, and Big Daddy himself is nothing short of great in their respective decks. Despite being a prize card, it still saw tops in some 40 or so deck lists, according to YGOTopDeck.com, before we even got the mass reprint. And from there, the card exploded onto the scene. Lightsworn decks, Chaos, and Dad decks all saw more consistency thanks to the reprint, and the ability to get either Rescue Cat or DDR meant decks like Synchro Cat or X-Saber could really shine as well once the old meta had fallen out. The card's ability to fetch anything you could need, coupled well with a plethora of decks, bolstered well by the mindset of players at the time. For a long time in this game, it was common and even seen as necessary to run some number of traps as disruption for the opponent's plays. Cards like Bottomless Trap Hole, Compulsory Evacuation Device, the Solemn Brigade, and countless more were played in just about every single deck, meaning setting a few pieces of disruption and then sarking for one of your big play cards was not only viable, but even seen as a solid opening turn. Dino Rabbit was personally my first taste of using the card, and one that really made me appreciate its utility. Sometimes it was a play similar enough to what I just mentioned. Sarc the bunny and then set some traps so I don't die, and then I can use Rabbit in 2 turns. But there's also the option of sarking a Pot of Avarice, so I could recycle my dinosaurs and tour guides for more plays in more of a grind game, and even the biggest brain play of Gold Sarc banishing Rescue Rabbit, and then summoning a tour guide from hand to overlay the second tour guide to make a Leviair, and then use Leviair's effect to summon out Rabbit and use Rabbit on that turn instead of having to wait 2 more. The card's legacy would go from good to great in 2013 with the release of Dragon Rulers. You've probably heard plenty about these cards, some of the strongest that the game has ever seen, with each ruler having an effect in the hand, able to summon themselves from hand or grave, and most notably for this video, an effect when they're banished. Each ruler could search a dragon of its own attribute from the deck when it was banished, including a copy of itself, which meant that Gold Sarc was, in practice, Ruler Rhoda, able to add practically any dragon from your deck to your hand, and then 2 turns later get said ruler to your hand to use its other effects. This led to a near tier 0 format kept in check only by the absurdity of Spellbook of Judgment. To say this was good in rulers is an understatement. In all of this card's history, June 2013 saw the most play ever, with this graph here from YGO Top Deck showing that in the month of June alone, Gold Sarc was in 165 topping deck lists. And even after its limiting, it would be a staple in any deck playing rulers right up until they were banned. And even at 1, it would continue to be abused in sorts of ways. Ritual Beast could use it to get any beast or tamer for their plays. The second place Nekroz list at the World Championships in 2015 would use it to help get to its staples that were limited in that format, and Cosmo would use it to banish monsters and then recover them with Cosmo Town as a sort of 2-card Rhoda in a way. And it even saw play in 60-card grass decks, because it's yet another way to access grass in the worst case scenario. Do you hear me calling it a pseudo Rhoda a lot? Yeah, it's got that role in plenty of decks, including even most recently Thunder Dragons. Each having an effect when banished, Gold Sarc and Thunder Dragon can be a Rhoda or a free summon from the deck, on top of serving as material for their fusion spell. Who could have thought an entire archetype that pluses off being banished could be abused by a card that banishes anything from the deck? The card itself is also inadvertently hand trap proof, as not even Ash can stop it. Granted, Ash can still stop the effects of whatever you might have banished, depending on what they are, but even in that case, you'll still get that card 2 turns later. And I haven't even mentioned small synergies like the fact that Giant Rex summoning itself after being banished means that Gold Sarc and any level 4 monster can be a free rank 4 or link 2, or smaller, more niche archetype things like banishing a Shiranui Spirit Master to pop a card, making it serve as either a negation bait or a cheeky removal. It's a card that has only gotten stronger as time goes on. With more and more decks using the banished zone, Gold Sarc continues to get more and more versatile. Overall, it's been a staple of multiple formats over its lifetime, a card that's got as many uses as it has hits on the ban list. It is certain to continue to fluctuate on the ban list over the years to come, if not just stay in its limited spot. But you can be sure if it ever comes back to 3, players will be abusing it. And so that's our look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card history, Gold Sarcophagus. Stay tuned for our next video, and feel free to suggest some cards to review or what type of video you'd like to see. Don't forget to like, and as always, subscribe to YGO Strats so you too can become a true duelist.